Welcome. Today we're exploring the intriguing story of Mary Tudor, known as England's Bloody Mary. Was she truly evil, or shaped by trauma, power, and faith? Let's delve into her life and uncover the truth behind the legend. Mary Tudor, often remembered as Bloody Mary, earned this infamous nickname because of her fierce persecution of Protestants while she was queen. This period of her reign left a strong and lasting impression of cruelty. However, it's important to recognize that this harsh reputation tends to overshadow the full story of her time as a ruler. The image we hold of her is quite simplified, almost like a one-dimensional villain. But when we take a closer look, we might ask ourselves if history has done justice to the complexity of her decisions and the challenges she faced. Was there more to her actions than just cruelty? This question invites us to reconsider the narrative and understand the broader context behind her legacy. Here we focus on Mary's tragic transformation from a princess to an outcast. When Henry VIII declared her illegitimate, it wasn't just a legal move, it shattered her childhood completely. She was torn away from her mother, Catherine of Aragon, and stripped of her royal status. This public rejection was more than political. It inflicted deep emotional pain, leaving her disconnected from the family she once belonged to. This moment marked the unraveling of her identity and set the stage for the challenges she would face throughout her life. Life under Henry VIII was far from easy, especially for someone like Mary. Her experience in the Tudor court was filled with fear and uncertainty. She constantly felt the weight of humiliation and the pressure of surviving in a world where alliances changed quickly. Mary had to navigate these dangerous waters carefully, always aware that her safety was fragile and could be taken away without warning. This environment shaped much of her life and decisions during that tumultuous period. When we talk about what trauma can shape, it's important to understand how deeply it can impact a person's psychological makeup. Take Mary's story, for example. Her early experiences with rejection and instability didn't just affect her in the moment. They fundamentally altered how she views trust and her need for control in life. This kind of prolonged trauma often leads individuals to develop strong survival mechanisms, sometimes manifesting as a drive for power or control to compensate for feelings of vulnerability. Essentially, trauma rewires the way a person interacts with the world, influencing behaviors and emotional responses long after the original events have passed. This highlights why addressing trauma is so crucial in helping people heal and build healthier relationships with themselves and others. Mary's ascent to the throne in 1553 was a significant moment, not just for her personally, but for the country as well. After years of being sidelined and facing uncertainty about her future, she finally claimed the crown. This wasn't simply a victory, it was the culmination of a long struggle. Mary came to power with a deep understanding that authority is delicate and that it can be taken away quickly. Her experience shaped her reign and the way she approached the challenges ahead. Mary's reign was notably defined by her strategy of ruling through fear. One of the most significant and tragic aspects was the religious persecution she enforced. During her time on the throne, hundreds of Protestants were executed under her orders in what became known as the Marian persecutions. This harsh crackdown was intended to reinforce Catholicism in England, but instead earned her the infamous nickname Bloody Mary. This period highlights how her use of fear as a tool for control deeply impacted the nation's religious landscape and her legacy. When we consider why Mary chose severity, it's important to look at the psychological roots of her cruelty. Her harshness wasn't just a random choice, it stemmed from deep feelings of desperation and insecurity. Having previously experienced humiliation and erasure, Mary likely felt the need to impose strict control over her environment. This was her way of protecting herself, making sure she would never feel powerless again. Understanding this helps us see her severity not merely as cruelty, but as a defense mechanism rooted in her past struggles. When we think about Mary Tudor, two contrasting perspectives come to mind. On one hand, she is often seen as a ruthless ruler, remembered for her harsh and uncompromising reign, where severe measures were taken to assert her authority. This image paints her almost like a monster, enforcing strict control and punishment. On the other hand, there's another side to her story, one shaped by deep personal trauma. Mary's actions were not just about power, but were also influenced by profound suffering and isolation. The heavy weight of ruling a kingdom in turbulent times had a significant impact on her decisions. This duality invites us to consider whether she was purely a merciless monarch or a tragic figure shaped by the challenges she faced. The warm glow of the candle in the image symbolizes this complex mix of darkness and light, a reminder of the human experience behind historical accounts. Thank you for joining me in exploring the complex legacy of Mary Tudor. Her story shows us how history is rarely straightforward. One person can be viewed in so many different ways, as a villain, a victim, and a ruler all at the same time. I hope this reflection helps deepen your appreciation for how the past continues to influence us and reminds us to look beyond simple labels.